Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Hypnotherapy Reflections from training to practice, and in this case, to lecturing. So today we have with us the lovely Dawn. Dawn is a qualified hypnotherapist, a solution focused hypnotherapist, and trained at our school in Essex, which is actually in Chelmsford. And we'll explore Dawn's journey, the unique insights, both personal and those gained from CPHT, and the powerful impact of solution-focused hypnotherapy. So get ready for an inspiring conversation highlighting the transformative power of hypnotherapy. Dawn, over to you. Do you want to tell us who you are and where you're practicing?
Yeah, hi Gary. Hello everyone. So I'm Dawn Ibbetson and I practice in Chelmsford in Essex and surrounding areas of Essex as well. I do quite a lot of work online and I do work that spreads into London as well, but that kind of comes back to my previous career. So yeah, I all over Essex, and I've been practicing now for about 5 years.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So you mentioned your previous career, so
Mm,
maybe we should ask you what that career was so
mm.
people can get an understanding of what types of people come into hypnotherapy from what jobs. So what did you
Yeah.
used to do?
So I used to work in IT. I had a very long career in IT. So by the time I then left and decided to make that career change, I was global head of IT for some big finance and investment companies as well. I've worked sort of like investment banking, mainly sort of in the finance industry. So that's where I came from. And it spanned, oh gosh, probably about 20 plus years
Wow.
of starting at the very bottom, sort of the person who would, tell people to switch it off and switch it back on again. I even have one of those lovely little kind of Madonna headsets that I used to have where I used to answer the phone and tell people how to fix all of their problems. Yeah.
Now you do that in a slightly different way.
Absolutely, I do. Yeah, and I still manage to get in some metaphors that are kind of IT or kind of techie related. So I've still got a little foot in the doors, which I quite like. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So I want to take you down route of your journey of what inspired you. So first thing, really, what inspired you to explore the world of solution-focused hypnotherapy?
Well, my journey, this led from well, there's no other way to put it, a serious burnout, complete burnout, and I was struggling mentally. My mental health was very poor at that
Mm.
time. And I knew that after I'd burnt out, I had to take some time out of work. I wasn't capable of working, but I wanted to then look at different options of what I wanted to do. What were my strengths? It actually led me to start thinking about where my strengths were and what I actually enjoyed doing. And I found all the way through my career that it was actually the helping people part and the developing people part that I really enjoyed and I got the most enjoyment out of. And I'm a very analytical person and I like to understand how things work, why they work, and I
Right.
like the proof there. So as I started to do a little bit of research of, well, okay, what can I do if I like to help people? Where can I then see that? And that's when I then came across the solution focused model, that
Right.
modality. So it's where it's got that, the neuroscience there, the explaining how it works alongside that solution focused approach as well.
Yeah.
For me, it was a no brainer.
So the inspiration was you getting to the end of your tether, really, in that
Mm,
corporate world, and
mm,
realizing you needed to do something different for you,
absolutely. And
finding something you loved.
absolutely. And it really was about finding that love again because I'd completely
Mm.
fallen out of love of what I'd been doing in the IT
Yeah.
world for lots of different reasons. And I think to a certain extent, especially in the beginning, I didn't have a choice because of where I was, with that burnout. So then as soon as I then started to look, that immediately started to bring back some of that
Yeah.
joy. And I'm a big one for finding joy in everything. And that's where it started. Even
Well,
then, finding something that all of a sudden it was like it explained why
yeah.
and how my brain was working and what was wrong for me at that point as well. Yeah.
So I think that answered my second question, was what was the moment you realized it was the right career for you? So going on from that, what was it in your training, what was your journey like of training with CPHT? How did it shape you as a therapist, or who was to become a therapist?
Oh, it was an interesting time, because when I started training with CPHT, it was, I loved the structure there. It was very inclusive. Everybody was there, and you knew that all of the lecturers, and I was very lucky in that I was trained by you, along with other people, and I still hear some of the things you say to me now, even back, from when I learned all those years ago.
I'm hoping that's a positive.
It absolutely is a positive.
Yes.
I still hear your voice, but in a positive way. But yeah, it was an interesting time, because partway through the course, we went into lockdown, and
Yes.
we had to change overnight. And
Yeah.
it literally was overnight. We were doing in-person weekends, like for those people that have already started the course or thinking of starting their course. You do in-person weekends and modules. That went to online overnight, and it was a really big change. But helping me as a therapist, it meant that I learned how to adapt.
Yes.
And that's a really big thing about being solution focused. Funnily enough, it wasn't a problem, because we looked at the solutions, and that really did shape me as a
Yeah.
therapist, because I learned a new way of, then I'd never even considered and thought about working online, and all of a sudden now my clients that I would then, I was as a trainee, they were all starting to go online.
Yeah, I hadn't considered that.
Yeah.
So you've been in practice for a number of years, and
Mm.
then a couple of years ago, you took the leap into becoming a lecturer for CPHT.
Yes.
What led to that? What gave you the thought of jumping into lecturing?
It was a no-brainer for me. I was chomping at the bit, and I wanted to become a lecturer. I knew as soon as I got a little bit more experience under my belt, that's what I wanted to do, because I'm genuinely really passionate about helping people and teaching people as well. For me, I'm fascinated by the brain. I'm fascinated by the neuroscience. To be able to then help other people understand that in a really accessible way, that's something that I really wanted to do.
So what I've been asking of a couple of people in the lecturing world,
Mm.
in your own words, Dawn, how would you explain solution focused hypnotherapy to someone who's never heard of it?
It's the ability to gain control. It's the ability to understand what is happening in your mind and in your brain in order to help you find your goals and solutions.
Wow. So what makes it different, a solution focused approach different and so effective for you?
That we're not going over old ground, that we're not covering the problem. We don't have to even touch the problem. I've had clients that I don't even know specifically what the problem is. We work on the solution.
Wow. So all the 5 years of being in practice and being very, prolific in
Mm.
the clients you've seen, can you share a single success story that still gives you goosebumps?
Oh gosh, I think I've been thinking about this one, and it's difficult because there've been so many,
Yeah.
and they're that proper wow moments. I see it's between two, and one of them is actually a younger client, and the other one is I'll go with the kind of the person, and it was actually somebody that I used to then work with in IT, and they came to see me. It probably wasn't that long after I qualified, and I knew that they'd had anxiety. I could tell that, but I didn't actually know quite how much. And we worked together, and I never really knew the problem at all, if I'm honest. Again, it's one of those people that I knew there was something going on, and they were struggling with a lot of anxiety, and we had 10 sessions together, and each week I could see them coming out of their shell a little bit more, and it was lovely. And they did their homework as well. They were actually doing what they were supposed to be doing as a client, and it was all going really well. And then they went off, and they were starting to be, I don't, even in sort of like when we talk about what's been good, their what's been good, they were saying that they were socializing a little bit more, and they were going out a little bit more, and they were really coming out of their shell as well. And then when I finished with them, they then said, they divulged to me, and I never knew before, that they said that I was the reason that they were still here. In the If it hadn't been for me, they wouldn't they would have ended their life.
That's that's incredibly powerful.
It even to this day, and I actually found out a little bit later, because they've contacted me a couple of times since, that that they'd actually made a completely different lifestyle choice, and sort of like with their sexuality, and that is what had been holding them back almost. And the bit having that solution focused hypnotherapy gave them the ability to work through that, and that then led to freedom.
That's amazing.
And it's hugely powerful. That one does definitely give me goosebumps.
And I think we've all had those people tell us stories similar to that, and it's so amazing when people share with you how they become the very best version of themselves.
Yeah.
And that's just one of the amazing things of what we do. So it sounds amazing. Why do you think those amazing clients we see experience faster, more uplifting results when they have solution focused hypnotherapy?
I think the name's in the title. I think because it is solution focused. And
Right.
I know I make that sound very simple. That's the thing here. It does sound very simple, but it obviously it takes practice. But I think because we're so focused on how to help somebody move forward, and we're giving them the skills and the capacity as well. And I always say to my clients that I'm not gonna give them a magic wand. Wish I could, but I'm not going to. But what I can do, I can give them the skills and the ability, and I can then be there metaphorically to hold their hand and guide them through things. And I
Cool.
think that's the big difference.
That's amazing. So moving on to the lecturing side of things, what's the most rewarding part of teaching all those lovely, potentially new hypnotherapists?
Oh, the most rewarding thing, those little sparks, the glimmers. And we talk about glimmers a lot, but especially in the beginning. But it is those tiny little sparks, and almost like that light bulb moment of, oh, I've got it. Oh my God, wow. And you get them multiple points and multiple times throughout each of the training modules.
Watching people grow.
Watching people grow. Those, through the tiny little glimmers of when somebody gets something to the really big moments, and how it then also, you can see, because it will impact the individual as well as professionally, they're learning a new career, those personal moments, because it does relate to us all, and we all go on a journey when, whatever it is and however we process that, we all go on a journey when we start training.
Absolutely. So how do you help students, particularly in those early days and weeks and months of training, develop their confidence in doing what we do?
Practice, consistency, and also giving them a safe environment and safe space to get it wrong.
Yeah.
Because I think in society now, without making generalizations, we don't like to make mistakes. We do something, it needs to be perfect straight away. There isn't anything such thing as perfect, but giving someone the ability to be able to do something and not be very good at it, and be like, well, that's okay, we'll try again, and we'll do it again, and we keep practicing.
Yeah, fantastic. So CPHT, you've come from quite a high profile corporate world.
Yep.
You got to the point where you needed to find a new career. When you chose to come with CPHT and you've now become a lecturer, what do you think sets CPHT's training apart from other therapy training courses out there?
That's a very good question, because there's multiple things. I think the one that sticks in my mind is the ability to be able to practice, and to start practicing really early on with the support of the lecturers, because we're always there to help people. But that ability to start practicing, so that by the time they then leave the course and they're qualified, they are fully qualified therapists, and they're able to go out in the world and work with all sorts of clients.
How do you think it shapes their approach, the solution focus, or their client approach during their training, from that first weekend to when they complete the course? How does practicing with people on a continual basis all the way through the course help shape the students' growth?
But it gives them confidence as well. It's then there isn't so much of that fear of the unknown. We know that doing something for the first time, we're out of our comfort zone, aren't we? So it gives all of our students confidence, and that confidence then comes through as a therapist. And adaptability as well, knowing that there isn't just a set kind of very, specific way of doing things. Just going back to that, being able to adapt again, learning what works and what doesn't work.
So it really informs their growth and
Absolutely,
their confidence.
It reinforces it as well. And then also, I think that sharing with other students, we give people the ability, at the beginning of each module, what's working for you, what's going well, what's not going quite so well. So it's a very collaborative approach and again, it's that safety of, you can say anything you want here because we can discuss it and talk about it. And then, what are other people's thoughts on this? What have you done that worked for you? And it's just a very nice, safe, collaborative space to be in.
So how important is it for you that Solution Focused Hypnotherapy is grounded in neuroscience?
It's for me, it's key. And that's what sets us apart from other forms of therapy, because it gives us proof. And let's face it, people want to know that this is going to work. We can provide that proof through data, through knowledge, through being able to interpret, like when we talk about our initial consultation with our clients and when we explain that to our students of how to then deliver that, we've then changed the wording so that it's accessible to everybody and it's understandable to everybody. But that neuroscience that backs it up, we can get really down to the nitty-gritty if we need to, and we can understand that, so we understand why. And so it's hugely important for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And it gives us that ability to educate our clients, as you say, that neuro education.
Yeah.
Can you share an example of how understanding the brain helps a client make real change, real lasting long-term change? How does it help them by understanding their brain?
When they understand what is keeping them in a space of, anxiety or stress or depression or a combination of all those, effectively kind of being in that fight or flight response, when they understand what is keeping them there, they can start to make changes. And then again, it's really small changes. So they can start to apply that and then they can see the results from it. I've lost count of the amount of clients that then, you say to them very simply, this is one of the things that we can do. We talk about what's been good so much. And it's something that is a really simple thing to do, but it's so effective.
So on a personal level, when you came on the course, you were in the throes of going through a really difficult personal time in life with the overwhelm of being in the business you was in, maybe. How did that brain explanation and you understanding your brain then help you make those lasting changes? Now, that's a personal question, so take it as deep as you can.
So it was one of those huge light bulb moments, because it all of a sudden I knew what was keeping me in that space, and it was that it didn't even feel like a huge leap, but effectively completely changing my career. It probably, in hindsight, probably was a really big step compared to what I was doing and what I'm doing now. But it was just that final kind of, wow, this is what I've got to do, because doing what I keep doing is just going to make me even worse. And for me, I know I had a lot of medically, I chronic illness that was going alongside that. So it helped me to understand that too, and it helped me walk the talk.
Yes.
It helped me do what I knew I needed to do, and that understanding, that underpinning of it, I still live that every day today.
That's amazing. So thank you for sharing that little bit.
Yeah.
So what advice would we give to someone now who's just starting out their own hypnotherapy business? On the course, we cover some levels of marketing, quite intensive, actually, but ultimately it's a practitioner's course. They complete the course and they're going to set up their practice. What would you now say to someone?
I would say there's a few things. Consistency. So keep showing up keep turning up. And also the communication, keep the communication going with your peers, with your supervisor. That supervision, it's so important because again, it helps with that community and it helps with that consistency as well.
And of course, you're a supervisor, so
Yes.
you do support other people
Yes.
building their knowledge and their skills, both in business and in therapy.
Mm-hmm.
But what has running your own practice, how's that changed your life? Going from that corporate world, so both professionally and personally, how's been running your own business been affecting you?
Well, it's hugely empowering. I get to make all the decisions all of a sudden, which to be fair, I was probably at the level I was at in the leadership level, the management level I was at, I was kind of making some quite big decisions anyway, but now it's all down to me. And I find that hugely exciting and empowering because I can choose the direction I want to go in. I can decide how many days of work, how many days a week I work. I can decide if I want to get up and I want to then also then do talks as well as the one-to-one work. I'm in power of I'm in charge of my own destiny, I guess.
Yeah. Oh,
And
wow.
I can decide, if I want to be busy, if I want to go off on holidays, and I know I like to go off on my holidays. So, but I can choose that now and I can build it in.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. You've got freedom.
Yes, it is. It's complete freedom. I mean, yes, it takes work, absolutely. And you still have to be structured in that. And again, that consistency comes in and hard work, but it absolutely pays off because you've got that freedom.
So what I'm hearing is, yes, there's a level of freedom, but you're actually able to create the lifestyle you choose rather than fitting your lifestyle to fit your job. Your job now fits your lifestyle.
Yes, absolutely. 100%. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So last bit on that, if you, as you're a supervisor, you speak to a lot of people, what tips would you give to a student to help them find their ideal client or a niche they particularly want to work in?
I would say stay open-minded
Yeah.
because you may have a very specific idea, especially when you first go in of who you want to work with and what you then want to do. But that may evolve and develop as you then go on.
Yeah.
So keep an open mind and start to look at what you enjoy, what you
Yes.
feel passionate about. That might be different to what you think in the beginning.
Yeah. No, totally get that.
Yeah.
One of the things I do is I work a lot in trauma, a lot of
Mm.
PTSD.
Yeah.
And I know when I qualified 14 years ago, that was never on my agenda. And
No.
it's where I've ended up mostly. And I
Yes.
don't know why. It's just where I enjoy
Yeah.
working. So I do get that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I never thought that I would work with children. Not because I don't like children, but I just didn't see it as
Yeah.
a path for me. I now get so much joy out of working with some of my younger clients. It's
Yeah.
a breath of fresh air. I love it.
That's amazing.
Mm.
So last couple of questions. The first one is, what do you hope your students take away from your teaching? Not just as therapists, but as people. So those people who turn up every time at Chelmsford or Watford or Norwich, what do you hope those students take away from you being one of their lecturers?
To find the joy in every day and to be inquisitive.
Wow. So last question. If you was able to work with anyone in history, dead
Oh
or
God.
alive,
Oh wow.
as a client to help them be the best version of themselves, who would it be and why?
Oh gosh, there's a big question.
Oh, cool.
Who would it be and why? One of my initial reactions would be to say someone like Freddie Mercury.
Mm,
But he was fantastic and he was incredible. I mean, they all were. So, but yeah, that is a really difficult. Yeah, I think maybe, I think I am going to say Freddie Mercury. I'm going to stick with that and that whole kind of musical theme because I know there was an undercurrent of, there were lots of things obviously going on in Freddie's private life and to help him really become the best version of himself. And he reinvented himself so many times and to help him develop that even further. I mean, I'm sure you can tell just by looking at me and seeing me, I'm all about the extra and the more is more. So just to be able to see what more Freddie could have done would be incredible, I think.
Wow.
That aspirational stuff.
Yeah. So thank you for that. Thank you for sharing your insights. Do you just want to tell everybody where they can find you, both as a practitioner, if they want to work with you, or, well, as well as if they wanted to train with you, how they would sort of find the training courses?
Okay. So as a hypnotherapist, and if anyone would like to work with me, then I can be found in Chelmsford in Essex. So on Facebook, you can find me as Inspired to Change Chelmsford. I live quite a lot in the LinkedIn world. So if you like to find me on LinkedIn, then I'm Dawn Ibbetson. So that's Ibbetson, just because sometimes the spelling's a little bit different. And you can also find me on my website, which is Inspired to Change Chelmsford. So from a training perspective, so I work, as Gary mentioned before, so I work a lot in the Essex group. So that is based in Chelmsford. I'm very lucky, I'm very close there. And also in Norwich as well. And I do also do some work in Watford. So if you go over to the CPHT website, so cpht.co.uk, you can then search for the area that you want to go. And there's a map and you can search for the area that's right for you. Or if you'd then just like to come and join me just because you want them all, then come find me.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Dawn, and have a fantastic week and weekend. And I'll see you on our next training course.